Somehow I opened 2 Immersive Mewtwo's this morning, and yet I am so much more excited about these leaks for Space-Time Smackdown, so let's talk about them really quick. Now, the source of these is coming from a user named Yato on Reddit, who at least aggregated all this together. I'm not sure who the actual source is, but apparently these were data mined from the game itself. As always with leaks, take with a grain of salt. Anything could be true or untrue, but these look pretty legitimate to me, so let's talk about them. First up, we have Manaphy, whose Oceanic Gift lets you choose 2 bench Pokemon and attach 1 water energy to each of them. Key thing about this, it doesn't specify they have to be water Pokemon, so this can, like so many things we've talked about before, power up anything that uses any colorless energy, or just needs an amount of energy in general. Like, I want to say that Celebi works off of total number of energy attached, not just grass, so like, you could use this to power up Celebi for more coin flips even. It's very interesting. I think some people are going to be mad because it's more ramp for the Misty decks, but it's a lot more fair than Misty. This is guaranteed 1 energy on each of those Pokemon. None of them are going to get 5, so did we need it? I don't know, but if it is a way to reduce Misty usage, it could be a good thing for everyone. Next up, we have Cyrus. Cyrus, I think, is one of the standout cards that's going to be shown in this leak. This lets you switch in one of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has damage on it into the active spot, so it's a little bit more limited in what it can target than Sabrina, but Sabrina specifically includes a language saying that your opponent is the one who chooses which Pokemon that is. This doesn't say that, so I think you get to make the choice, which can make it even more of a dagger end-of-game card. I think this is going to see a ton of play. I think it's also going to be very interesting how decks distribute Sabrina versus Cyrus, or just play 2 of both. Could be super disruptive, and some of the things in this set suggest that we might get more ways of damaging the bench, or just generally putting damage on the board without attacking, so this card could be even better than it looks. Now we have Full Art Rotom, which 1 energy, 1 colorless energy, that can be splashed anywhere actually, even though it's an electric type. If your opponent's active Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached, this attack does 30 more damage, so it goes from 20 to 50 if they have a tool attached. I have a feeling we're going to see a decent amount of tools. This could be good, especially on Pachirisu, obviously, so the Lightning Mirror, the Electric Mirror, might get a little bit insane, but I think this is definitely playable. It's always nice to just see like a card with fun art that can be splashed in any deck, right? I'm about it. Now, Porygon Z, which implies that Porygon 2 is coming with it. 3 colorless energy for Buggy Beam, which drops 80 damage and changes the next energy generated to a random out of these energies, which I think is all the energies you can actually generate. Colorless isn't there, but I don't think we've ever been able to generate that, so this seems like it. Now, some people think this card is going to be pretty crazy. I think there are so many of the main cards in this game let you use colorless energy, or like, you know what I mean? It's like 2 fire, 1 colorless, or 1 psychic, 2 colorless, something like that. So I think that this is actually going to be a lot less disruptive than people think, but I also know that in the next win streak event, probably going to get hit with this at the worst time when I have a 4 streak, and it's going to cost me. So not unplayable, not broken, I think fun. I think this is going to be a fun card, and that's always cool. Okay, Magnezone. This is an interesting one. 1 electric energy, 2 colorless energy, discard 1 electric energy specifically for 110, evolves from Magneton, obviously. Now this card I think is really interesting because of Magneton's ability to, what's it called, Magnet Pole or something? It just gets an extra electric energy from the energy zone every turn while you're waiting to play Magnezone, which means that this card can actually go in non-electric type decks. You can get 2 or 3 energy on Magneton on the bench before you switch it in, and then it is ready to, you get at least 3 shots out of it, which should be all you need if you're playing it advantageously. Is this going to be super meta in a lot of decks? I doubt it, but it could be nice in something like a fire deck, like a Blaine deck, just to have something to use against any annoying water decks you might run into. I don't think that's going to be its most common use case, but I think it's an interesting card, and I'm excited to get my hands on a copy. Now, a lot of people are already talking about Infernape EX. Note the 0 retreat cost? Kind of huge. For 2 fire energy, and they do have to be fire energy, you can do 140 damage, but you have to discard all the energy, so you don't want to get more than 2 energy on this thing, but 2 is a nice number. Now it's a stage 3, but has a massive 170 HP, so it's safe from Mewtwo. I guess it can get Gyarados with Giovanni, but this is a tough thing to one-shot, and I like that they're giving us these high HP options to go around the current meta. I think this is going to be... I'm very excited to see what the decks around this card look like, because I think that... It doesn't seem totally straightforward to me. I think there's going to be some room for innovation on this card, and I want to see it happen. Now, Bidoof. This is another one that's getting people talking. Super Fang, 2 energy, colorless. Have your opponent's active Pokemon's remaining HP rounded down. If I understand this correctly, this means that it does the more favorable number for you. So if they have, you know, I don't know, 170 HP maybe, you are not going to do 80, you're going to do 90. I believe that's what it means, and I believe that also means that it will get the KO on something with 10 HP. So keep that in mind. I don't think that's really the way you're supposed to be using this, but we'll have to see what Bibarel does. The 2 energy makes this a little awkward because if you lead with it, it's going to take some time before it gets online. Could be your 3rd turn if you're going first, and it might not live that long, even if they play like Farfetch'd or something. But this could be a really interesting way of mitigating, like, I mean, this is just such an easy way to do the damage to like a Mewtwo EX or something, right? Just get 80 on that, and then you can probably chip down the rest with something on your bench. Just a very interesting card to see. And now we have another supporter. We've already seen Cynthia, we know all about what she does, but now we also have Vulner, who lets you choose one of your Electivire or Luxray, confirming that Electivire and Luxray will be in the set, which I'm not sure is a huge surprise, but good information to have. Attach 2 Lightning Energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. And if you didn't know, any energy that is discarded by a move or is on a Pokemon that is knocked out does go to your discard pile. That's already in the game, it hasn't mattered yet, but it's been happening. And I think anything that lets you get additional energy or reuse energy is always good. This makes it seem like it would be a lot less punishing to have one of your Pokemon go down, right? Like, if a Pikachu EX gets knocked out, those 2 energy can come right back onto one of these 2 Pokemon, which I assume will be in position to finish the fight for you at that point. And this also might mean that these Pokemon have discard mechanics, kind of like Infernape, and if so, this lets you loop those attacks even better. We'll see what they end up doing, but I think this is going to be a cool card. And I like that we're getting already, like, it already feels like there are more options for electric decks, which I think we needed. I think we needed that. All right, Galade EX. Now, later on, we're going to see that there is a new Ralts, a new Kirlia that use colorless energy to go with this, so that it's not awkwardly a fighting type card that needs fighter type energy in your psychic deck. Just had to say that. This is 2 energy for Energized Blade, which does 70 plus 20 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it works just like Jinx or Alakazam, but with a higher base and only the 20 ramp. But this means that in most cases, for 2 energy, you're going to be dropping 90 or 110. And that's pretty nice. I like that. It's a stage 2, so it's going to be a little bit awkward to get online. But I think that this could be really fun to play, and we'll see what space fighting ends up in. But I kind of like the idea of this with like Lucario. We've already seen Lucario. Then it's doing 110 to 130 for 2 energy in most cases, which that is really strong, only really held back by it being stage 2. So we'll see how it goes. And then we finally have a Dark-type EX Pokemon. And this is the one that I was hoping for if you saw my earlier videos. Weavile, stage 1, so easy to get that boy out there. 1 energy for Scratching Nails, does 30 and 40 more if the active Pokemon already has damage on it. And something like this is why I suspect there's going to be more ways of dealing out that chip damage to benched Pokemon or the entire board. Because this does not seem spectacular right now, but with some cards supporting it, it could be pretty devastating just for how fast. I mean, if you go first, this comes out on the first turn you can attack. And depending on, like, maybe, like, Sneasel's ability deals 10 chip damage everything on the board or something. That sounds kind of broken, but you know what I'm saying. It seems like there's going to be a card that will set this up, and if that's true, it's kind of disgusting. Also, just generally could work really well in a Weezing deck, which kind of needed something else to... I didn't feel like there was a correct finisher for that, right? We have Scolipede, which is nice, but this is a nice alternate option that is just a little bit less clumsy. Stage 2s are kind of hard to play, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a hard time making those work. So then there's more Pokemon, and I think this one right here is the one that I am the most excited about that we've seen so far. Togekiss, Stage 2, so it evolves from Togetic and Togepi. 2 Psychic Energy, that's all. Overdrive Smash does 60, except during your next turn, this Pokemon's Overdrive Smash attack does plus 60 damage. If this hits once and you keep it out, it's basically going to be doing 120 every turn, except we've already seen what Cynthia does, which means it can be doing 170 every turn. This is not an EX Pokemon. Are you seeing this? Still Stage 2. Could be awkward to play. We're probably going to be seeing a lot more Steel-type Pokemon, so weakness might be a problem. But I want to play this thing. I think this thing looks very fun. I think this might finally be the Pokemon that makes Sigilith as good as I want it to be, and that's going to be very fun to play. I think that's the #1 card I'm looking forward to right now. Okay, Rocky Helmet. What this does is basically turn any Pokemon into Druddigon. Any Pokemon gets that reactive chip damage, 20 on it, deals 20 when it is hit by an attack. We know that Druddigon was pretty good for a while, got a little pushed out of the meta by just needing that much counterplay. When you can do this to anything? Put this on some of those high HP EXs? This could be very, very good. I'm gonna need to see it in action and see how it feels to play, but this is one I have my eyes on too. And now we have some grab bags. So what's this? We've already seen Chimchar, Piplup, Pachirisu, Turtwig. We've talked about Lucario. We've seen Palkia, Dialga. We talked about Cynthia already. This one, I think the only new card in this spread is this Staraptor, which is a Stage 2. Recolorless Energy for Clutch, which stopped the opposing Pokemon from retreating. Don't really see this as being super meta impactful, but not a bad card. Could definitely go some places. We'll see what it does. Also kind of missing the stats on it, so can't really give the full picture. At least we also know that it's a full art, so that's fun. And here's another grab bag full of even more cards and whatnot. Now, let's see. We've seen this. Drifloon, I can never remember which is which. I think this is Drifloon. For 1 energy, it can deal 10 damage and you get the -20 from attacks, which is kind of like Cubone, but better because it actually does damage. I assume this means it'll have less HP, probably 40 or 50 instead of Cubone's 60. We'll see what the evolution does. Could be nice, could go with that Togekiss deck. We'll see. Piplup gets a full art, not surprising. Has all 3 on it. I wonder if all of them will have art like that, or if Piplup is getting the special treatment. Now we see, check this out, this is an event Pokemon, Cresselia EX. Seems like this is going to come from an event kind of like Lapras EX did. 3 energy, so 2 psychic, 1 colorless for 80 damage, just like Lapras. And heals 20 damage from the Pokemon, just like Lapras, except it's not from the attack, it's from the act of attaching energy. So this could actually go crazy with Gardevoir with 40 heals per turn, but you are kind of wasting your energy ramp. But it gives you a lot of options, and this is such a 11-coded card. This is exactly the kind of thing I like to play in any game. So I am super excited to get my hands on this. Won't even be relying on packs for it, which is cool, except it's still packs if it's like a Lapras event, so we'll see what happens there. But this is one that I have my eyes on. Is it going to be the best card? No, but I think it's going to be fun, and sometimes that's more important. Here we have the base art for Weavile. I kind of like it more than the full art, as is often the case in this game. We have Rocky Helm. We already talked about Lumberry. At the end of each turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to, any status condition that's affected by is cleansed. Now this might seem like, why is it at the end of turn I can't attack? At the end of every turn, including your opponent's turn, so if you're paralyzed or whatever at the end of that turn, it will go away by the time it's your turn. I am curious how this interacts with the coin flip for sleep. I would love for this to activate after I flip the coin to see if I'm asleep. I'm not sure exactly what the order of operations is on the check for that, so keep an eye out for that. But definitely going to be good versus poison and paralysis for sure. And burn if that's added, I assume. Now, Giant Cape, I think this is the final tool we're seeing today. The Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 20 HP. That is max HP. This isn't a potion. This is increasing the max HP. So a lot of people are saying this kind of power creeps blue. You can use this with blue, so just noting that. But this might be the strongest of the tools we've seen so far, depending what the meta looks like. I mean, if it gets super status heavy, Lomberry could be good. Or who knows what kind of combos Rocky Helm will lead into. But this one, in a vacuum, seems very good. Now we have Togepi and Togetic. Looks like they both take 1 Psychic Energy. We don't have the full stats on them to know that this is what ramps into Togekiss. And here we have Gimbal and Gavite, which are showing us what ramps into Garchomp, which we will see. It's the last Pokemon on the list. We're going to get there. I'm not trying to scam you for it. It will be in there, and it's just the way the thread's sorted. I'm sorry. But we're seeing here that it's water and fighting energy for these, which is interesting and kind of matches its color scheme, so not super surprising. Okay, Riolu will evolve into Lucario. Basic Pokemon, 1 energy, 20 damage. Kind of the good timeline for a basic like this, I think. See how much HP it has, but I'm not upset about that stat line. And here are the colorless energy Ralts and Kirlia to use with Galade. Teleport goes to the bench. This is pretty much just like how Magikarp works. You have a little bit more HP, so it's less risky. I assume this is a colorless energy. If it's Psychic, then I don't really know what they're doing. And then Kirlia has 1 colorless energy for Slap, and it does question mark damage with question mark HP. Not in love with the arts on these, but they make Galade playable, which is neat. Now we have a super cute Magnemite, which rams for 10. I think this is just worse than the one we already had, unless it's colorless instead of electric, which would suggest that you are supposed to splash these cards, like I was talking about before. And this, I believe, is the exact same art that Magneton already had, so I'm not sure if it's getting reprinted in this set, like Old Amber did in Mythical Island, or if this is just to remind us what Magneton already did. Unknowable. I don't know what else to say about that. Here's Magneton again, in case you forgot. We have another new Eevee, which eyes are looking pretty wide set on this one, but I do like the colored pencil style. This is 1 energy, flip a coin. It can do 30 instead of 10. Kind of works like Heliolisk. Do we need another Eevee? Probably, let's be real. And Cresselia and Gible we already saw in the trailers. We don't have to talk further about those. We're getting real close to the end. There's one more. It's Garchomp. This card might be a little bit nuts, everyone. This card, so first of all, it's only 2 energy for 100, and again, works with Cynthia, so it's actually 2 energy for 150 sometimes. 1 retreat cost, kinda nuts, and we have an ability where you discard a card from your hand and draw a card. So we finally have a way to put stuff into the discard pile, like, naturally, or like, unnaturally, I guess. But it gives you a chance to draw an extra card every turn, which, this attack is kinda good enough that I'm not sure if it needed that. I guess that the multi-energy thing does require to need extra balancing, but I am really excited about both of the Cynthia cards here. I think these are both going to be really fun, and they're non-EX, so you get a little extra wiggle room in playing them. I'm excited. I'm excited about this set. Comment down below, tell me what you are most excited about, and if you like getting news updates like this, I'm doing my best to get on top of all of it, so subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back, I think I'm hopefully streaming polls right at reset when the set comes out in a little over 36 hours when this video goes live. So I hope to see you there. Until then.